Yes, Professor Charles Dokubo is the head division of Defense and Strategic Analysis at the NIA. He joins us next to give his perspectives on that. Some of the issues raised there. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Incidentally, you're with Defense and Strategic Analysis. So while the president is there, he is also speaking about Boko Haram and the economy. Two key objectives for which he's gone to the States for. Let's get your impression, first and foremost, about security. We know that he did put some things in place, service chiefs, the DSS, some adjustments were made just before that trip. Do you think that was to send the appropriate signals to the authorities saying, we're ready?
Not just have dismissed the previous head of services in the sense that, you have to take the report from them, how far they fought, what are arrangements they've made, the strategies they're adopting, and how the containment policies of Boko Haram has been going on. He has to be well briefed. That's why when he assumed the office, he didn't dismiss them, quite unlike other times in Nigeria, what they normally do is to dismiss them, and then you appoint your own. But we have a task at hand. That's why there must be a change of an exchange of ideas about how the war has been fought and how the containment policy has been successful. That was why he did not remove them immediately. But I'm sure they've given the background about the fight and the containment policy. So he's traveling to America. He has something to discuss with the United States. But I'm still wary about that journey.
Why?
The journey is that most Nigerians expect a lot from a lot from this journey. But I think we should only tell the United States to fulfill past promises, not to make new promises to us. The fact is that when the crisis first started, they said they are going to stand with us shoulder to shoulder. And yet, eventually they talked about human rights abuse. They went back to
Was it them or Amnesty that talked about it?
No, it was if you look at the United States Congress, there was an act that was passed by Senator Patrick Leahy. Leahy said that any country that wants to receive the United States arm must not be involved in any human rights abuse. With that, it stopped giving it to Nigeria.
Okay, that was why we wanted to buy weapons from them.
Yes.
The Apache helicopters, attack helicopters.
Yeah.
Was that not justifiable reason because they couldn't violate their own laws, which
the fact is that yes, it's their own law. But if they've also promised the Nigerian government that they are going to work or fight shoulder to shoulder with them in the containment of this threat, then definitely they should know that it's for Nigerians, it's a core and existential threat.
When you say they said they were going to fight shoulder to shoulder,
yes,
was it not about our own interpretation? Because eventually they said they were going to provide intelligence, which is what most of the other Western countries and many countries said.
The fact is that so far as the United States is concerned, because of its arms supply policies and all that, Nigerians felt that they'll be given the arms, the required arms to fight, not that American soldiers will be on ground. Yes, they are going to share intelligence and all that. That's good. But also, if the arms are not there, what type of intelligence do you share to an army that is ill-equipped to deal with that sort of insurgency?
But did we address the points that they raised, whether it was valid or not, to say, well, no, we've looked at this point, it didn't make sense. Now, what next objectives do you have?
Now, the fact is that because of these rules have been set in their own ways, they wanted to see countries in their own image and likeness. It is not only in the conventional weapon area. Even in the nuclear, you have the Chrysler Amendment Act of 1974 that clearly states that countries that are receiving aid from the United States and ventured into the nuclear realm will not be given assistance and every aid will be cut off. These are policies the United States used to either modify nations' stance or their foreign policy objectives. So we knew that, we went through that, but will they change anything? And then also these abuse about human rights and all that, we have to be very careful, and sometimes we have to take it with a bucket of salt, because how are we sure? At once there's an insurgency, definitely there will be collateral damage. These people you're fighting against, they don't have a military cantonment. They don't have order of battle. They mix with the civilians, and if you're trying to deal with them, however precise your bombing is, you cannot pick them up singly without affecting other people.
Okay. Let me look at this other matter. Pardon me. The promises. Let me go to the promises. If they now say, yes, we can sell Apache helicopters and many other arms to you now, having visited, is that tantamount to a new promise or is it a previous promise?
I think we want it to be fulfilled. It's part of an old promise. But we want it to be fulfilled. At that time, it was not fulfilled. This is a new journey. there's a new president who had gone there with a new kind of ideas on how to contain this threat. And if the Americans buy into it, then definitely it gives us a platform for a new type of action towards the containment policy of Boko Haram.
You know, there's also wonder if the proper homework was done. I mean, with the past promises, as you said, not yet fulfilled, and new promises appearing to be coming forth. Well, someone wonder if proper homework was done in terms of our defense policy and our strategy. Was that do you think that was properly done before you...
No, our defense policies have been there for a long time.
But there's been that call about revisiting.
We now have to just to securitize our interests furthermore. But the policies have not changed. And then we work in concert with other members of the neighboring states. We've been doing that. If you look at the three consecutive cycles of our defense policy, you see Africa, the immediate neighbors, and then the core and existential threat that comes to Nigeria. These are all in place. But how do you securitize these interests that you've located? So definitely when we wanted arms and ammunition to deal with it, you know, we felt that for us, for the Americans, it would be a crisis in a faraway country. But for us, it's for our existence and whatever we do to make sure that Nigeria remains in existence and that nothing tarnishes the image of Nigeria, then we have to do it. If in the process we have offended people whose sentiments and sensitivities are different from ours, so be it. But the fact is that wherever there has been warfare, no country has gone in and come out with clean hands without abusing human rights. And if you look at the lesson of the United States and all that, that's not a lesson that we have to follow.
Yeah, but if they now say that, yes, we can then sell arms to you, doesn't that presuppose that, well, it looks as though we've overlooked those previous reasons that popped up for which you said...
I'm not against these new issues and new promises and all that, but the fact is that let these promises be fulfilled. And that since you've agreed, you've looked at it before you try to endear yourself to our imagine a new president, definitely most of the other things that you're talking about, you have to keep it aside and look at it with a new perspective and all that. And that was what we wanted.
You know, when you talk about fulfilling old promises, should we have any reason or do we have any reason to be perhaps concerned that if new promises are made, they may not be fulfilled?
Sometimes, you know, they will, because they will also tell you about other things, that the way you have used your weapons and all that, and that in such a way the United States will not be in a place to give you arms and all that. We have to be very sensitive. For me, this issue of totally depending on the United States for arms and ammunition, I think we have not learned our lessons. If, you know, we could go back to history, you know, during the Civil War, we paid for arms and all that. When we needed Nigeria, they didn't give it to us. And so far as good luck is concerned, you see, for me, he surrounded himself with people who viewed national politics from a municipal sewage pipeline. They've not understood the history and the antecedents of the Nigerian arms acquisition policy. We have to look at multiple ways of acquiring weapons, not totally dependent on America. And even if you're going to get from a third party, they must have clearance from the United States. But if you're getting from other countries beyond the ambit of the United States, you can get weapons to deal with your problems and all that. But, you know, we are as if we are tied to the apron spring of the United States, that we must have them, and we've not learned our lessons.
So what should we be doing?
We should look for other means, other places. We are not totally dependent on the United
Like which
States.
countries?
You can go to Russia. You can get arms there.
That's where they got the ones they're using now from.
You can go to Russia and get arms. Don't depend on South Africa. Most of the South Africans from Arms Corps, these are also produced under license from the United States.
Now, the thing is this, the president's visit, yes, it borders, you know, largely on security, but then there's also the economy. There's also youth unemployment. Do you see the Americans being able to help?
The issue of youth unemployment is not for the United States to come and solve it for your country. The country will have to develop a policy in which either graduate unemployment, youth unemployment will be contained. That is what enabling the environment, you know, creating jobs, job creation function and all that. That's not what the United States can support you in terms of if your environment is good for them to inject foreign direct investment where that could create jobs and all that. That would be okay. Job creation is for the government of Nigeria. whatever assistance you get, you have to funnel it through your job creation projects, not through,
So what then can we glean from this visit? It's a 4-day visit, it's just day 3.
It's going to meet with all facets of American society. Mm-hmm. And then in the process, every group of people have a particular interest in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. Oil companies still thinking about come back to Nigeria. One thing also we must understand by these oil companies is that sometimes they're not even worried about the crisis in the country, because the dividend they will get from it will be higher in spite, because they have to be risk takers.
Will the oil companies be coming back saying that Nigeria's crude is not selling as much as it used to? Now, America used to be one of the highest buyers of Nigeria's crude.
We've never determined the price of crude anyhow. Nigeria has never determined the price of crude. It is determined by the international oil market. And the weathers and vagaries of weathers in the West determines the price of our oil. We've never determined our price unless there are conflicts in the major oil producing areas. Then and only then, even then we don't determine it. It's the international market that determines our price.
But the quantity that is sold, the quantity of Nigerian crude that is sold is reportedly dropped since America discovered shale oil, since they used to be the highest buyers of Nigeria's crude.
Shale oil is just a process that has just started. And that, could it fill the gap that they used to buy? Or because the weather has been so clement in America that, they don't need enough oil. We have to look at it and balance it in those ways. It's not because there is shale, then we can cover the gap. America has a oil reserve, that could take them for more than 10 years without buying oil from any place. So, yes, if they have shale oil, it's okay. Other countries will still need our oil. We have to buy it.
But about job creation,
yes.
That's why we have things like AGOA, which is supposed to help some of our manufacturing here, and the kind of areas, because he's meeting with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and yes. businessmen there, so yes. that part of the economy will pop up. Those the kind of areas that we should have taken advantage of.
But also, if you look at AGOA critically, you will see that standards are set that sometimes Nigeria's companies could not meet. That because it's not just an open trade and all business, they set standards. These are gatekeepers in their country. They will tell you either your product is not up to the standard they've set for themselves. So as a result, they will not even allow you to sell it to their countries.
Yeah, but they do that with most, if not every other country. They do that to China.
Yes.
Britain does it.
Yes.
If you're bringing in goods here, this is the specification you have to meet. So that's up to us to meet
the fact is that if your producers and manufacturers could meet those standards, then we don't have any problem. But if they're about carrying out shoddy deals, not up to scratch, underpaid, understaffed workers, without the necessary technology to run these industries or these organizations that will send these materials to them, then definitely we will always be turned back at the gate that they are not up to the scratch.
Would it be wiser to encourage them to set up their factories here instead of manufacturing to export?
If they could do that. And that will only be determined by the security situation in the country. They will not come into this place to set up Toyota or any of American firms like that. They must be sure that the environment is stable. And what Buhari will do on his return, I believe, is this war against Boko Haram. At once, we have created an ennobling environment and shows to the world that we can be a source of foreign direct investment, that they can even come and set up factories in Nigeria and all that, then definitely we're on the right path.
Okay, you've spoken about the fact that you want them to fulfill previous promises.
Yes.
About, with respect to security.
Yes, security.
Which one thing would you love to see about the economy?
The economy is that, we've always had much talked about monocultural economy and all that, and dependence on oil and all that. Nigeria, since I was a young man at school, we talked about trying to changing the nature of the economy, not dependent totally on a monocultural or product and all that. But all that time, nothing has come out of it. We are talking about service industries, and mainly all the investments that are coming are directed towards the oil sector. Not most of them are bringing within social goods. Not most of them.
Because the service industry seems to be the ones that are with the highest GDP ever since that rebasing.
Yes. But can we put our house in order and deal with it in such a way that, whatever is demanded of us, we can do it? Look at call centers for international banks and all that. They go to places like India, not in Nigeria. But look at the investment of the West in Nigeria. It's a lot. But then, whenever it comes to issues of delivering service, there's a bit...
we need to do a lot of housekeeping.
Yes, definitely we have to.
All right, that's where we'll have to go. Professor Charles Dokubo is the head division of defense and strategic analysis at the NIA. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, then we'll be back after the break. We've got another perspective, so don't go away.